Welcome back to the 5th and final season recap of Stranger Things. Chapter 1, The Crawl. We open up 6 days after Will went missing, but in the Upside Down, it's Castle Byers, and Will has been found by the Demogorgon, and he shoots it. Also, we have to stop CGIing people's faces. We obviously cannot get it right. Anyway, he ends up getting nabbed, which we knew, and taken to the library, where Vecna is waiting. Then he proceeds to load Will up on some upside down juice, and it's clear he's always been part of a bigger plan. Jump to 1987 and the Byers are living at the Wheeler house. And Mr. Wheeler hates it, so that's great. The whole town is under quarantine. Holly aged 4 years in too, so she must be drinking the same juice as the other kids. She has an invisible BFF, Mr. Whatsit. Her parents have been fighting about it, and Mrs. Wheeler has been leaning on her wine bottles for support. Will has a case of the spinnies. Eddie is haunting the narrative. Dustin is sad. He is morphing into Eddie, and bullies are bullies. Dustin gets his ass kicked over this Eddie stuff, and it is legitimately hard to watch. The government be governmenting. They covered up Vecna's crack with some metal plates. And oh yeah, the library is a giant gate. They're doing science in the Upside Down, but they need 11, and she's doing the Rocky training montage. Robin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan all work at the radio station. Awkward Nancy-Steve tension. Weirdly competitive Steve-Jonathan stuff going on. Murray gives them info and goods from the outside. They are using the radio broadcast to give each other information about something called The Crawl. These are searches for Vecna. Hop catching a ride with the military to the Upside Down looking for Vecna, and a team topside monitoring him. Which means that radios can communicate between different dimensions, which is kind of wild. 30 of these searches over the past 2 years have been completely fruitless. 11 wants to go on these missions, but Hop refuses to let her. The overprotective dad trope will not die. On this mission, they see a Demogorgon for the first time since the gates have opened. When it attacks, Will seizes out on the ground. The power cuts out, and Hop is down there on his own. Mid-seizure, Will sees a Demogorgon headed straight for the Wheeler home. Chapter 2. The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler. This Demogorgon wants Holly. How are the neighbors not hearing any of this? She runs to her slightly wasted mother, and they both hide in the bathtub. It fucks up Mr. Wheeler. How does he live through this? Mrs. Wheeler is a total badass. She beats the fuck out of this thing. Unfortunately, she is no match for it. Nancy and 11 walk in as she's bleeding out on the floor. 11 skedaddles through the gate left behind by the Demogorgon to go after both it and Holly, almost immediately running into Hop, who was shot in the last episode, by the way. Watch this not affect him at all for the rest of the season. They have a heart-to-heart about why he's so overprotective. It's because of Sarah. Obviously. They follow Holly's trail all the way to this giant wall of nastiness. Why does it always have to be slimy? The government gets to the Wheelers and they think 11 was there. They get confirmation of this from surveillance cameras placed around the town. Hello, big brother. A bloodied up Dustin runs into Steve and Jonathan. Dustin and Steve get into a fight as they drive around town looking for Hop's signal, which they lost when the power blipped. Will has a Vecna antenna so he can tune into the hive mind. Joyce says he's not allowed to be an antenna, but Robin sneaks him out to do it anyway. They walk around the woods for a little bit before Will realizes that his connection was to Holly, Vecna's next victim. At the hospital, they realize they are closing in on the anniversary of Will's disappearance. Holly being taken isn't a coincidence. Mike remembers that Mr. Whatsit, Holly's imaginary friend, told her there were monsters that were going to come after her. They think Mr. Whatsit might actually be real, and they want to have a chat with him. So they play dress up to get to their mom. Mommy Wheeler tells them that Mr. Whatsit's first name is Henry. It would appear that Henry has taken Holly to the Creel house. She isn't the only kid he plans to take. Chapter 3. The Turnbow Trap. Over at the Flesh Wall, 11 and Hop's attempts to penetrate it are fruitless. The government crashes their beef jerky party with a freaking L-Rad that's tuned in specifically to L's ESP. They locate her and Hop, there's a gunfight, plus some grenades. They get away. 11 interrogates this military guy, jumping into his brain. This Dr. K lady wants 11, and she thinks they have Vecna. Everyone topside meets at the radio station. Will gives them the lowdown about Vecna hunting kids, yet again, tapping into his Vecna antenna. He figures out that his next victim is this little shit, Derek Turnbow. Their plan? Well, they are going to drug the entire family, sneak into their house, kidnap them, and then pop the Demogorgon with a tracker. Erica is in Mr. Clark's science class. Yay, Mr. Clark. She's gonna be the one to let them into the Turnbow house. Nancy shoves the tracker into a shotgun shell. Dustin drills this transmitter receiver thing into Steve's car. Also, Jonathan wants to propose to Nancy. Anyway, the drugging people plan goes off pretty much without a hitch. Then they completely fuck up this family's house. How are they going to explain this when everybody wakes up? They track the Demogorgon with the lights. When it lands in this kid's bedroom, Lucas pelts it with lighter fluid balloons, leading it to this hole where Mike whacks the crap out of it. Then they shoot it with a tracker and light it up. It runs away, they follow it, and it's heading to Will and gang. The kid woke up and now Vecna knows where they are. Someone please take the glasses off this man. It makes him look like a pedo. He's feeding Holly, saying her parents are going to join them real soon. Sure. She gets the house all to herself. The only rule, she can't go in the woods. Cue Peeping Tom POV. Everything's super chill and fun until somebody rings the doorbell, leaving a map and a compass for Holly. And of course, being a fucking wheeler, she decides to go. The map leads her to a giant wall, and who is there? Max! Chapter 4. Sorcerer. Holly and Max chat, and we learn that they are both prisoners inside Vecna's mind palace. After 11 brought Max back from the dead, she woke up in the Rainbow Room, surrounded by all the dead number kids. Then she's in Hawkins with a teenage Joyce. She's jumping through Henry's memories when she hears Kate Bush. She follows and sees Lucas, but suddenly the tape cuts and Vecna is there. She runs to this cave, which Vecna is afraid of for some reason. Joyce tries to convince this kid that they're not freaky kidnappers. It doesn't go well. Then the Demogorgon shows up. Mom's kicking ass this season. Steve hits the Demogorgon with his car and then drives everybody into the Upside Down, crashing into the flesh wall. Dustin figures out that this wall is a giant circle, and at the center of it is Hawkins' lab. They get a hold of Hoppin' 11. She hops the barbed wire fence of this military base real quick. Unfortunately, this dude gets loose and tells everybody what's up, so they flip on their anti-L speakers. After a brief stall, they get a key card into Vecna's room. Hop straps a bomb to his chest, planning to take out Henry, only it isn't him. It's 8. Will has another vision antenna moment and sees all of the kids hooked up just like he was. After he draws this, I cannot be the only one that thinks this is incredibly vaginal. Apparently it's 12 kids exactly that Vecna wants, and the military is rounding up all the kids in Hawkins. Surely to keep them safe because that's what the government is for. Right? Our team plans to use this kid as their secret spy. Once he's inside, he radios the others and then gathers the Mr. What's-It kids. Using the underground tunnels from season 2, they break into the bathroom where the kids are being held. They manage to get 5 kids out, but Joyce, Will, and Mike are all taken prisoner. They're being taken to, I assume, prison when Will gets a vision and Demogorgons start popping out of the ground. Like daisies! They're going after the kids and taking out military guys left and right. As the Demogorgons get injured, so does Will, just like in season 2. Please know that this will not have an effect on the story at all. Out of the gate walks a new and improved Vecna. He's got Mega Mind shoulder pads now, and he has come to fuck shit up. The Demogorgons round up all the kids, then they start going after our team. Vecna tells Will that he's different. And suddenly, the Demogorgons attacking his friends are killed just like Vecna's victims. Chapter 5. Shock Jock. Vecna has rounded up all 12 kids and takes them to the Creel house just like Holly. He tells all of them that they're special. His plan is to bring the alternate dimension into the real world. Just like Will, they can tap into his powers. Derek, Max, and Holly come up with a plan to lure Vecna out of the Creel house so that Max and Holly can find the exit again. They get to jumping around Henry's memories, but unfortunately, Vecna finds Derek. Hop and 11 take 8 to go meet up with the rest of the gang that's stuck in the Upside Down. 11 confronts Hop about the bomb he strapped to his chest. Apparently it was always the plan for him to take out Vecna this way. 8 reveals that Dr. K was taking her blood and transfusing pregnant women with it, attempting to create more number kids. None of the number kids were born with special abilities. Dr. Brenner used Henry's blood on pregnant women to make them. When Hop 11 and 8 all arrive at the church, our team isn't there, because they went to Hawkins' lab. Dustin and Steve get into yet another fight, and Steve says some real messed up stuff about Eddie sacrificing himself for no reason. Then Dustin proceeds to get into a literal fist fight with Steve. After Steve walks away, Dustin finds this hidden room that has the exact same circular points that he did on his map, as if the lab was built over this point intentionally. Nancy and Jonathan, while looking around, find all this melted stuff. They follow it to the roof, where whatever the hell this thing is. Joyce, Mike, and Will meet back up with Lucas. Everybody be limping. We are bruised and battered. They plan to have Mr. Clark build them a new transmitter antenna thing while they resurrect one of the Demodogs that Will killed so he can tap back into the Vecna antenna. When they get the Demogorgon all Frankensteined, Will sees through Derek's eyes that Henry is going after Holly and Max. Vecna finds Max and Holly just as they were about to enter his mind where they could have escaped. He's got his slimy tentacles around Max's neck, but Will, using his connection to Vecna to hurt him, then speaks through him to Max, telling her to run. His hold doesn't last long, though. Once Vecna figures out Will is in there, he kicks his little butt to the curb. Chapter 6. Escape from Camazotz. At Hawkins' lab, Nancy shoots the orb thing, then this happens as if it were an atomic bomb. Apparently, it's something called exotic matter. It created the wall, and behind that wall is a wormhole, which Nancy and Jonathan just punched a hole into, causing Hawkins' lab to become like an interdimensional Chernobyl. The melted stuff is about to drown Nancy and Jonathan, but they do have a little cute heart-to-heart, and Jonathan doesn't propose, I guess? Then suddenly the stuff isn't melting anymore. Make it make sense. Will is out cold. He's stuck right back where he was in season 1. Vecna tells Will that he has been using him as a vessel to do his bidding all these years. Also, this is his new lair. Why is it moving like that? The group realizes that Holly and Max are trying to make a break for it. So, Robin and Lucas head to the hospital. Cue the Kate Bush soundtrack. Holly and Max run like hell from Vecna into the cave he's afraid to go into, and then he tells Holly, "I'm going to torture Max until you come back to the house," which he never really does. Holly and Max have a little chat about the cave probably being a traumatic memory for Henry. Holly declares they're going on an adventure, and then she finds this old mine shaft. A young Henry Creel gets shot in the hand and then beats a man to death with a rock. He then opens up this suitcase. Elle and Gru meet up with Joyce and Max at the radio station. How the hell did they get out of the Upside Down? Did I fall asleep? Anyway, Hop and 8 can't stop arguing about 11. Hop wants to save Elle, and 8 wants to be sure that what happened to her never happens to another kid ever again. Elle jumps into Will's head and finds out that Vecna is going after Max. At the hospital, the monsters start showing up, and Lucas carries Max out of the hospital room. That actor is strong, because I think that's really her. Just as the Demogorgons are closing in on them, Mrs. Wheeler comes in to save the day, blowing them to high hell. The moms, dude, we have not been utilizing them to their full potential. Max and Holly push through Henry's memory. Feel like we should have stayed to figure out what the fuck was in that case, but whatever. They both run back to their bodies as Kate Bush sings her heart out. Chapter 7. The Bridge. Holly wakes up in one of the flesh pillars and pukes up some mind flare. When Holly wakes up, she realizes that she is in the alternate dimension where Vecna found the monsters. Good luck to everybody trying to get back to her. She pulls up pieces of the ground, falls through the fleshy bits, and is falling towards the Upside Down. Jonathan and Nancy get busted out of the now solid goo room by Dustin and Steve. Dustin tells them, oh yeah, Holly isn't behind the wall like we thought. She's like hella further. Then Nancy hears a scream from outside. They all run to the roof and see Holly hovering in the air before she's snatched back. In the last episode, Murray and Erica went to Mr. Clark's house. He's doing the librarian, and he's going to help them build a telemetry tracker. I definitely knew that's what it was called. They build that tracker up style with some rainbow balloons. With this, they are able to lock in on Dustin's location. Max wakes up and we get the reunions that we've been waiting 4 years for. They hear from Erica that Dustin is at Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down, so they head there, meeting up with Mr. Clark's team so they can jump into the Upside Down, leaving Max and Lucas topside, because oh yeah, Max can't use her freaking legs. Vecna takes Holly back to the flesh pillar, hooking her back up, turning the other pillar kids into a cult.
Back to the light! Back to the light!
Creepy. She tries to fight her way out, but she's outnumbered. Dr. K reveals that she is after 11, because she wants to make more number kids to control the monsters so we can fight Russians. So they head to Hawkins' lab. Dustin explains that 11 was the one that created this wormhole to the alternate dimension where Vecna was, and he and the monsters have been using it to get into Hawkins all these years. The gates have been creating breaks in the banishment dimension, working towards the goal of collapsing the wormhole and forcing the banishment dimension into the real world. They plan to destroy the exotic matter, collapsing the gate, but not before 11 and 8 get into Henry's head and kill him. Definitely nothing's gonna go wrong there. Will is PTSDing about Vecna using him as a spy one last time, which I think also doesn't happen. Although we don't see it happen, apparently Vecna told Will that if he told his friends and family that he was gay, that they would all ditch him. So they have a group hug about it. 8 tells 11 that they need to kill themselves during this mission to save other kids from their fate. Dark. Then they drive an 18-wheeler through a government facility and into the Upside Down. Chapter 8. The right side up. The military is going after our group semi that is chillin' at Hawkins' lab, but this freaky guy is already there and sees them arrive. Somehow Murray gets the power on? Whatever. 11 gets into the isolation tank that she hasn't been in since the night the gate opened. Will, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, Steve, Robin, Nancy, and Jonathan all climb up the radio tower, but unfortunately, the other dimension is crashing down on it. Steve nearly takes a swan dive, but Jonathan saves him. They climb up the tower into the banishment dimension. 11 and 8 jump into Max's head, or maybe they invite Max into 11's mind? Not sure. But all 3 of them start jumping through Henry's memories again. Holly is forced to take part in the reckoning. Another great shot of this nasty thing as the ground of the banishment dimension begins to open. 11, 8, and Max all show up at the Creel house to yeet Vecna out, quickly hiding the kids so that 11 and Vecna can have a showdown. But first, they all let the kids see that Mr. What's-It really is a freaky monster. 8 and 11 try and finish him off, but he dips real quick. They and all the kids head to the cave and literally give Vecna the finger. Vecna gets into Hopper's mind and shows him that 11 and 8 are planning to off themselves. He shows himself and Hopper takes the shot, only he isn't really there. Hop shot the tank. And 11. He breaks the glass, pulls her out of there, forcing 8 and Max out of her head. But when Hop pulls her out, she is completely fine. Absolutely no gunshot wounds. It was all a trick. Hop and the number girls are chit-chatting when the military shows up, and they brought their LRAD. They get Hop and 8, and they're about to kill her when Murray throws a grenade at a helicopter. Go Murray. 11 finally gets to kill this shithead, but 8 doesn't make it. In Vecna's mind, he forces his way into the cave, and Holly leads all of the kids into the mine shaft. He attacks Holly, but then is distracted by the trauma of the beating the guy to death memory. We see that that briefcase he opened had this rock inside of it. When he picked it up, it connected him to the Mind Flayer in the alternate dimension. That rock absorbed into him and gave him his powers. Will sees all of this and tries to connect to Henry, telling him that the Mind Flayer has been keeping this memory from him, that it's using him as a vessel and has been warping him towards its own agenda. But Henry says that he never wanted to resist it, and now they need each other. As he says this, the pillar room with the children and this beating flesh thing begin to move, forming a physical manifestation of the Mind Flayer. The group there is almost taken out, but luckily 11 shows up because hopping in and out of dimensions is apparently super fucking easy this season, and dislodges Vecna from his web. As 11 and Vecna battle, Nancy draws the Flesh Flayer over to the cliffs so the rest of the group can light its ass up. As the group is taking shots at this thing from the outside, 11, inside, with Will's help, forces Vecna onto this tooth thing, and together they take down the Flesh Flayer. They get all the kids unhooked, and everybody gathers round to watch Vecna choke on his last few breaths before Joyce axes his body from his head. They drive out of the Upside Down and are met with the full force of the US military, everyone except 11, who stayed in the Upside Down. She says goodbye to Mike, and everyone watches as the exotic matter blows, taking out the Upside Down and 11, closing the gate forever. 18 months later, the kids graduate high school. Dustin gives a lovely valedictorian speech. Screw the man! Jonathan and Robin are in school, Nancy quit school to be a journalist, and Steve is a baseball coach. Joyce and Hop get engaged, and they are going to move away from Hawkins. The now adults go back to playing D&D. It's implied that Lucas and Max get married. Dustin does well in school, Will finds a boyfriend, and Mike becomes a writer. Mike uses the end of the D&D campaign to tell them that maybe 11 didn't die. Maybe it was all an illusion. That maybe she escaped and didn't tell anyone where she was going, and she found a tiny little town to live out the rest of her life. They can't ever know if it's true, but it's what they choose to believe. And that is the end. The end of a decade-long adventure. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and press some buttons down below if you're into that kind of thing. If not, I will see you in the next one.